Good evening, friends, and welcome to Words of Hope. This is Pastor George Pagel coming to you from Florence, Oregon. But tonight I'm not in my office at the Foursquare Church, but I'm in my office at Marina. It's a boat company where I work a couple of days a week, and I thought it'd be nice to just share with you from this office. And I've been working for Marina for almost 20 years, and just really enjoy getting to know people and had a lot of really good experiences. Met a lot of nice people, developed some real friendships and fishing partners, and quite a few people have started coming to church over the years from my time meeting them here at Y Marina. But I'm just really glad to be with you tonight. And I just was wondering, this last Sunday night, we had a leadership meeting at our church, and it was a meet and greet for the new people to come and meet me and get to know me, and also the leaders in our church. And my wife made key lime cream pie for everybody. And it was delicious, very rich, very creamy, and everybody just gobbled it right up. And so I was thinking, what kind of pie do you like? Do you like cream pies or do you like berry pies? Just let me know. Cream pies or berry pies or just any pie in general. Today, my wife made me another pie. She did it because when we go camping in the fall for a couple of weeks, there's this little restaurant at this lodge on a high mountain lake that makes a mud pie, and I just love it. And this year, only one time were we able to get a piece of that pie because they were sold out every time we went in. So my wife told me she could make one and it would be just like the one we have up there, minus the ambience of sitting in the lodge looking out on this beautiful lake. But she made me this mud pie, it consists of this: uh, Oreo cookie crumbs for the crust, and then about 3 inches of frozen coffee mocha ice cream, followed by about an inch of hot fudge, then drizzled with some chocolate, and then covered with whipped cream. Ooh, is it good? I'm telling you, it is good, and she did a very good job. You can't eat very much at one time because it's very rich, but anyhow, it was fun to have that pie. So tell me, what kind of a pie do you like? Cream pie or berry pie? I also want to encourage you to check out our webpage at florencefoursquare.com. We have a hunting and fishing page there. We have a sermon library. It tells you a little bit about our church and some of the activities that we have. If you're interested in listening to some of my teachings on video, you can go to Pastor George Pagel on YouTube, and I have a whole library there. Many of the Words of Hope are on there also, but most of my Sunday sermons over the last year are there. And so if you'd like to go there and check it out, I invite you to do that. But I'm really excited about what God's doing in my life right now. This is probably the best time spiritually for me in maybe since the beginning. God is doing amazing things. He's waking me up early, giving me opportunity to get into the Word and hear Him speak to me. He's blessing our church. Being a pastor of our church right now is the most rewarding, fulfilling time of my life. I've been here 33 years. This is the best time, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving the people. I'm loving what God's doing in the people's lives. I mean, just amazing things. I mean, he's been speaking prophetically over our church. We had a couple on their way back to Canada who they live in Canada, just driving to Florence. God put it in their heart and said, go there to that church and speak a word over that church. And luckily, there was a lady who was our janitor. She was there, and they spoke that word prophetically over the church. It just touched her. She said, "You've got to go tell our pastor." So they drove up to the boat lot where I was working that day, and they shared with me some things about the church and about my ministry. And it was awesome. It was really amazing, the insight that God gave them. I got a call from somebody, my answering machine that doesn't go to our church, but God gave them a dream about our church and my ministry and how God was on the move and going to do amazing things. I was picking cherries here this last a while back, and I was only one in the orchard, and this lady walked through the orchard, saw me, came up to me, and prophesied over my life about what God is doing and going to do, and some of the things that we've gone through. I mean, it's just an amazing time for me. I am so excited about not only being a Christian, being a pastor, living in Florence, and pastoring the Foursquare Church. And if you're looking for an exciting church where Jesus is Lord, the Bible is made easy to understand, great fellowship and prayer, come give us a try. We're at 1624 Highway 101, right next to the A&W. Can't miss us. You'll see our brand new sign we just had made. It looks really nice. And our service time's at 10 o'clock. We'd love to have you come visit us. I feel tomorrow that God's going to use me to pray over some people. I'm going to anoint people with oil. And I just think God's going to do some amazing things. We're at an amazing time. You know, I want to just share you a short story with you about my experience. You know, I went through a very difficult time as a teenager, lots of rebellion, lots of anger, lots of frustration. I got in trouble a lot. I was never a thief or anything like that, but drugs and alcohol played a big part of my life, trying to satisfy this emptiness and this hurt and this anger that I had inside of me. And it got me in so much trouble that the judge told me she was going to send me to McLaren until I was 21, and I was only 17 at the time. McLaren is a junior penitentiary in the state of Oregon. And I know I didn't want to go there, but I thought it was an accident, but it wasn't. It was ordained by God, where I ran into a Navy recruiter in Arlene's restaurant in Elkton, Oregon. I'll always remember that. And I don't even know how the conversation started up, but we started visiting. I shared my woes with him. And it was during the Vietnam era, so the military was desperate to get people into the different branches of the military. And I remember that this recruiter said, "Well, if you join the Navy, I can get all those charges dropped, and you'll be just fine." And so I said, "If you can do that, I'll join the Navy." And I raised my hand, got sworn in, went to Portland, went through the physical. They flew me to San Diego, California, where I went to Navy boot camp, basic training. Well, it was a drastic change for me because I had no controls over my life. Just did whatever I want whenever I wanted. But when you go into Navy boot camp, you don't do whatever you want. You do what they want you to do. And it actually was the best thing that ever really happened to me. But when we first went into the Navy, you get haircuts and you get issued clothing and so forth. And so you get you get a set of dress whites, you get a set of dress blues. The whites are for the summer, the blues for the winter. You get some working clothes, jeans and khaki shirt and so forth. And then you take it back to your boot camp, and there you put it in the little closet they give you and so forth. Well, anyhow, that all happened really fast. And the day when I got my dress blues, I remember we had to eat real fast, and that's one thing in boot camp. You had to learn how to eat fast, or you just didn't eat. And so I was eating fast, and it was time to go and get back out in with the squad and march. And I still had a cookie, an oatmeal cookie. And so I stuck it in my pocket, fully planning on taking it out and eating it later that evening after we were done with all of the activities for the day. I forgot about it. 8 weeks went by. We're nearing our time of graduation. I've excelled in everything. I had gone from being a heathen to a Christian while I was in boot camp. About 3 weeks into it, the Lord really got a hold of my life, and I surrendered to Him, and I was a different man. And so the last 5 weeks, I was a totally different. Actually, I was a boy. I was a totally different boy, and my life got cleaned up. My brain got cleaned up. I excelled in whatever I did. I was the first squad leader. So when we would march and then come to parade rest and get inspected, I was always the first one to be inspected of the 75 in our company. And so we passed with flying colors. Never had a deduction for anything, and we were just a really good company, and I had a good squad, and so I never had any worries about anything. Never got docked for anything, and here we are now nearing the end of our time in boot camp. We were the number one company in the entire place. I remember the last inspection, we had to be inspected with our dress blues. I called my squad to attention and then parade rest, and I would be the first person inspected out of the 75. And I remember I'd never worried about it a bit, but this inspector, he locked his eyes on me. I just felt like something was about ready to happen. He walked up to me. Actually, it was my pea coat. I had stuck that cookie in my pea coat. And I remember he walked up to me, he put his hands in my pocket, and he immediately looked at me and he said to our Company commander, first squad leader has a cookie in his pocket. Now that's a major deduction. I mean, we would get in trouble if we had a crumb in our pocket or a piece of tobacco or lint, yeah, on us or in our pockets. I had an entire oatmeal cookie in my pocket. I was in shock. I had forgotten all about it. I thought the inspector planted it in my pocket. It was just using me for some kind of an example. I just couldn't fathom how a cookie was in my pocket. He pulled the oatmeal cookie out. He showed it to the company commander. The company commander came over and got in my face. I thought the end of the world had come. He started screaming at me and yelling at me. And he said to me, first squad leader, when we get back to the company tonight, when we get back to the barracks tonight, you and me are going to fight. And you know who's going to win, don't you? I said, yes, sir, you're going to win. I had to leave the squad and go to the doctor's office in downtown San Diego for some kind of a condition I was having. I can't remember what it is now, but so they sent me down there. I was gone all day long. And when I got back that night, I fully intended to be in a lot of trouble. But you know, I was good at my job, and I was respectful, and I excelled. And when I got back there, the company commander had kind of settled down, and he decided that my punishment was going to be very minimal. Matter of fact, all I had to do is stand and watch a man that was getting punished for crossing the street, and he was told to hold his rifle out at eye level, and my job was to watch him do that for the next 5 minutes or so. And I thought, Lord, that's amazing. See, the cookie went in my pocket before I was a Christian, but I didn't have the consequences of that until long after I had been a Christian. Sometimes we do things before we're Christians and it doesn't show up in our life until after we're a Christian. And and we're not always immune to the consequences of things that we did before we were Christians. But that day I found mercy, not only with God, but I found favor with the company commander. And I was thinking about Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, you're going to find favor with God and you will find favor with man. And it's because you got a good reputation. And I was thinking to myself, Lord, thank you that I was a good first squad leader. Thank you that I excelled. Thank you that I poured myself into being the best that I could be. And the company commander acknowledged that and recognized that. And so because of that, I found favor. And I just want you to realize that sometimes things happen. I didn't mean to put that cookie in there and leave it in there, but it happened. But I'm so thankful that I found favor. I found favor with God initially, and then I found favor with man. And so whatever you do, the Bible says, whatever you do, whatever you put your hand to do it with all your might. Do it with be the best that you can be. No matter what that task is at hand, do it with every ounce of your being so that you will excel, you will develop a good reputation, and that you will find favor. And I have found favor in my life many times with people because I tried to do the best that I could do. Maybe my best isn't as good as your best, but it's the best that I can do. And when you do the best that you can do, when you begin to excel at whatever it is that you put your hand to, people will recognize that and you will find favor with them. And so I just pray that today, that every single one of us might trust the Lord with all of our heart, that we could find favor with God, which we do when we accept Jesus, and that you might find favor with man at times when you could be in a difficult situation. God's really good to us. He's been really good to me. And I'm so blessed to have good people in my life. I'm blessed to work for people that I really look up to and appreciate. And I just pray that in the name of Jesus, Proverbs 3 and verse 4 would be realized in somebody's life that's going to watch this over the next week. You will find favor with God and man because you have a good reputation. Develop a good reputation. And if there have been times in your life as a Christian that you always haven't had a good reputation, apologize. Tell them, I'm sorry. I haven't always been the best, but I'm going to be the best. People are forgiving and they will accept that. And so my prayer is that every single one of us would would be the kind of people that we just excel at whatever we do. As a Christian, people might look at you and say, Man, you're all right in my book because you're honest, you're sincere, and you give it the best. So may God bless you. And again, if you're in the Florence area tomorrow, Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, come out and visit us. We're the Foursquare Church right next to A&W. You're going to be blessed. We have a great people. We're in the midst of a great revival. God is on the move in our church, and we're just glad for anybody to come and share with us. And so I pray that in the name of Jesus Christ, that God's favor would rest on you and the favor of man also. All right. Have a really good evening. Glad I could share this word with you today. Misty, good to see you. Lori does make very good treats. All right. God bless you and have a really good week in the Lord.